Off the Ivy, a Chicago Cubs podcast with Dan Bernstein, Matt Abaticola, and Cody Del Mendo on 312 Sports.
Off the Ivy on 312 Sports is brought to you by Chicago Window Guys. Give Russ Armstrong a call. Make it easy on yourself. 847-302-9171. And check out his 5-star reviews at ChicagoWindowGuys.com. Well, it's another one of these Cubs games that we can get excited about a victory, and then it's tempered by losing another pitcher. And this time it's Edward Cabrera again with something else, and this one looks bad. Sometimes you hear hamstring and you don't really see it happen, or you just see a guy grab. That looked a little more violent than you usually see, and they had to bring out the cart. So it usually does not bode well.
Yeah, you get a great play from Nico on that grounder, and then he makes the stretch at first, and he kind of has his foot braced against the base, and he slides out into the full splits. And they said that it was a left hamstring, left adductor strain on both. So it didn't look good. Couldn't put full weight on it. Couldn't stand on it. So yeah, that's why they get the card out there. But yeah, I just. Again, another injury for Cabrera, and you lose him. And I know he's on the 15-day L, but that's not a 15-day injury just from seeing that.
Yeah, I'll just go out on a limb and say that I don't think we're going to see him the rest of the season. Unless he magically heals quicker than what we could expect. But when you factor in, the ramp up, making sure that the leg is fine, and all of that, it just I'm just advising Cubs fans to just assume that he's done for the rest of the season, because it's just been it's been a tough watch. Even his start was frustrating for a game that he actually had some impressive moments and moments where you felt like maybe he was finally turning a corner. Man, he wasted so many pitches. The Cubs needed him to go deeper in that game. And then the way that he ends it with an injury, and I feel bad from him. From a human standpoint, I feel bad for him, but just from what we saw on the field from him last night, it was a lot of the same that we've discussed, and so many wasted pitches. And you got a doubleheader today, and you needed him to go deeper, and you didn't get that. And then he gets hurt, and it's a gruesome injury. It looks like need a cart to come out. The last pitcher the Cubs had that it feels like this and had high expectations was probably Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish got hurt the first year he was in Chicago. He wasn't good before he got hurt. He obviously made so much more money than Edward Cabrera. And I think the expectations were certainly higher for him, but just in comparison, I think that's basically what it's been for Edward Cabrera. It's just been a big disappointment. And I hope I'm wrong in some fashion about him being able to come back, but I also just don't want the Cubs to push it. I mean, you got 2 more years of control of this guy after the season, and you got to find a way to get him right and get him back on the path that he was on. And if that means that we just basically got to be done this year and reset next year, I'm honestly not mad about it, even despite all these injuries with the pitching staff. I think I've just about had it, and I hate to say it. I really do.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little more optimistic until they get further commentary from the team and they get a good look at him today. I did, text Dan last night and was like, well, he's done for the year. And
the first thing you said. Yep.
Yeah, that was just initial reaction of seeing the splits. I mean, I've had a severe hamstring injury, and I'm not a professional athlete with all the tools and doctors and recovery that they have. And it was a few months of trying to even get back to normal, just to be like normal life, to be able to be a major league pitcher. I'm going to be optimistic, and hopefully it's not the full year, but that was my first initial gut feeling was it is the full year. But again, they did the 15-day DL or IL, sorry, and we'll see any more comments that Craig Counsell has to say today or the next 48 hours after they get a good look at him.
Yeah, well,
it sucks. Yeah, you're right. It sucks.
And the silver lining is he wasn't that good.
Right. I mean, it's
I hate to
terrible.
look at it that way, but
No, you're not wrong, Dan. We said the same thing about Cade Horton. It's like, all right, well, he was projected to be like a 1.2 WAR. You should be able to overcome that. And Edward Cabrera hasn't lived up to expectations this year. We should be able to overcome that. But at a point when all 5 of your starters, now I think you have one starter from opening day that's still pitching at this point.
Yep.
So it's like, I mean, after a while, it's like, yeah, maybe they weren't good, but you still need like a basketball team's got to field a guy. We talked about this with the Bulls. You still need your 5 starters out there.
It makes the big pile of outs look bigger.
Yeah, it sure does.
And it's like, oh my God. So you have different if you look at the quality of your pitchers as the size of the shovels they can use in the big pile of outs, you've got a lot of replacement level pitchers with tiny little shovels working at this like kids with a plastic shovel and pail at the beach.
At the beach, yeah. No, that's a good analogy to it. But Cody, I agree with you, man. It just sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, like no one wants to go out there and be bad. You don't want to perform poorly. You don't want to look bad. You don't want to not earn your contract. These guys want to be the best they can. And now here, I know he's out there trying. And you get this a freak injury that happens and makes a great play on a great play by Nico. And who knows? It could have cost him his year.
Yeah. Yeah. Shodi Imanaga, I believe, is the only one left in the rotation.
Yeah.
Currently.
Wow.
You're getting
wow.
You're getting Matt Boyd back.
The guy you didn't want. The guy you didn't want to keep is the last man standing in your rotation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. You're getting Matt Boyd back at this week, but
I think it's a lesson. Usually we point to a Dodgers team and say, oh, well, the Dodgers spend all this money cornering the pitching market, and then they get to October and look at them. This happens. It doesn't quite happen like this or with this level of frequency in a given season. But I think the lesson that we take from this is you can never, ever, ever have enough arms at your disposal. However you want to look at it. Whether it is rounding out your AAA, holding area with enough people who are representative major leaguers, or just making sure you've got ability, versatility, and health as the traits that you look for in the way you build a staff. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this on a team over 500. To be having to call pitchers off the street and in from independent leagues and wherever they may be to see who can get you an out, who's got one good pitch you can find a way to use. It's all hands on deck right now, including everybody who works for the Cubs who has anything to do with pitching. It is absolute full-blown crisis mode.
Absolutely. I mean, even the bullpen, Jaden Murray, great debut last night. Not. Yeah, I don't really know what the solution is other than the trade market. And Jed Hoyer on the radio yesterday, it just kind of didn't really instill that they're like, it's kind of been what I've thought the entire time, especially over the bad stretch of baseball. He's not instilling confidence that they're going to do the full necessary things to, really get this team back to where we felt they could be on opening day. And, he even mentioned Justin Steele. He doesn't think that he's going to start for them this year. He thinks that he could be used out of the bullpen, I guess. So, maybe that changes now with Edward Cabrera's injury. I don't know, but there's so much from it. But just my take from it was just like, it just doesn't feel like they're going to, it feels like, maybe they'll dip a few toes into the deadline. It'll be a lot like last year. That's where I'm expecting it to be. Maybe they'll get more than one arm because of the amount of injuries they have, depending on what their record is before the deadline. But it's shaping up to be a deadline like that. And that's, I guess, to bring it back to the Cabrera injury, I guess that's probably what makes me more sad or disappointed, and disappointment is just largely about the entire team, considering they're 4 games above 500 here in mid to late June, when the expectations were to be in the division race and to be a real contender, and it just hasn't been that. So it's just everything's just compiled, and the Cabrera injury really just twists the knife a little bit harder. And in this case, it's just I just feel bad for the guy, and I hope it's not as bad like Matt said. I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the trade deadline, I mean, realistically, they're not going to be able to fill all the holes in their starting staff
Right.
at the trade deadline. That's just not realistic. So maybe you add a starter and you add a couple arms to the bullpen. One of the only saving grace, I think, when you look at this season is how bad the American League is. You're going to have more teams to look at least in the American League, where the National League you're not. I mean, you're going to have 7, 8, 9 teams competing for those wild card spots. So they better be doing their due diligence on on American League, excuse me, on American League teams to understand what might be available for them. But again, you won't be able to fill all the needs, and you're going to have to do it in-house. Guys you have pitching in Assad and Ben Brown. What else you have in the system? Guys that can start and pitch for you. It's going to be a really tough situation. We can talk about the offense scoring some runs. And if you look at the 9 regulars that we've talked about after Ballesteros went down, saying that these are your 9 guys, you got to win some ball games, get some offense going, which they have. They are 4-2 in the last 6 games with these 9 regulars. 2 of those, games you had rainouts. And then one of those losses was a bullpen loss that you probably shouldn't have had.
Mm-hmm.
So you are 4-2. You could be 5-1 in the last 6. Things are looking better. Maybe they have turned that corner, to borrow the phrase that you've used, Cody, on a few different things with the offense, and maybe they have, and that's great. And you mentioned the bullpen, and you mentioned
the corner, and there's a bus waiting for them.
Waiting to hit them, yeah, right. They didn't look to the left; they just went look to the right. Right. But you have a law firm now that you can't trust in Milner, Maton, and Maton and Murray. It's just, I mean, like what a debut that you had to get Webb up in the bullpen to start warming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, it was 9-2.
Yeah. And they ended up being 9-6. And I know it's a blowout. It doesn't matter. You look at it from a Mets perspective. It's like, oh, another fake rally. To me, you needed this bullpen to just kind of stabilize a little bit. Like, I think Craig Counsell mentally needed that. Like, I obviously needed it, but he needed it too.
There we go, though.
Like, it's
all about you.
He probably feels great about Ryan Rollison, and that's it. That's it. And he Jacob Webb has been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
His last outing obviously sucked, but it's not great. Ryan Rollison is the most reliable reliever that you have, and no one knew who he was 4 months ago.
He wasn't supposed to be on the team this year.
No, probably not. No,
he wasn't supposed to be on the team.
It goes back to the whole we need you can never have enough pitching. They picked him up off waivers. The White Sox waived him or whatever. I think he was in Colorado in previous years, and you know how pitching goes there, and so that there wasn't a lot of value there, and they saw something in him, and he's been great for them. The injury factor has played a big part in the bullpen too, and so Milner. Whatever. I don't know. I just get a very meh feeling when I think about Milner.
Yeah.
But Maton again, dude, we're up 1,000 runs. Can we get one clean inning? Not from
Shingo Maton. Nope.
Yeah, we just can't. And I don't understand. I don't understand anymore. We can break down his pitches, this and that. We can talk about giving him the money, and then we have fans talking about why don't we pay for anyone? We did for Phil Maton, and he continues to be trash. So
that's the bullshit you deal with your bullpen and with relief arms. I mean, from year to year, you just don't know. I mean, what did I hear last night that Drew Pomerantz was released by the Angels?
Yeah, and he was one of their best relievers last year. Yeah.
You just don't know, but now Maton's part of Milner, Maton, and Murray, and you can't. The law firm you can't trust, and
that's their slogan.
Yes, that's what it is. The law firm you can't trust.
Yeah,
I quibble with that, but I didn't like the idea. They're going with it.
I don't really know what to make of Murray's debut. I mean, it was.
Oh, he's not good, buddy. He's not good.
He's not good. I do. I know what to make of it.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Bichette hasn't been very good this year. He gives up an opposite field homer to him, but he is Bo Bichette.
I mean, he looked terrified out there too. I was waiting for the vape pen to fall out of his pocket because he was. I mean, come on, man. Poor guy. He's like, fuck, I don't want to be here. This is not what I want to do. I don't want to be on the mound. Why am I in this game?
Right.
They're ripping a pen.
like this conversation it's not instilling any hope.
It's not helping you.
No, not with a double header.
You haven't learned that yet with the two of us, and we're not going to help you feel better.
Not only do we have one game, we have two games today, and that's why I go back to Cabrera inability to go a little bit deeper into the game. And so now you used
you better score 15 runs in each one of these things today. You better score, man.
That
Nolan McLean,
you need Assad and Shota to just to be
shove right up their giggies.
Yeah, they one of them at least needs to give you 6 innings today, and maybe that's not enough. But I questioned this last night, like why did they bring Rollison in up all those runs? I mean, it turns out it's probably the smart decision considering there's no one in the bullpen that you feel confident in, but man, like that's how bad it is. I did not want them to have to use Rollison last night, so you could use him today, but
Well, I think Council has probably already talked to Javier Assad and said, "Hey, listen, game 1 is a regular game. Game 2, I hope your arm feels good."
Yeah.
Because you're going to be out there, buddy.
Right. Yeah.
Before we get to the controversial play of the game, I want to tell you about something that is not controversial, that is an easy decision that will result in absolutely no arguing whatsoever. And that is you deciding that when you need windows, you're going to go with Russ Armstrong and Chicago Window Guys. See, that is objectively the right thing to do for a lot of reasons. One is you are worried about sorting through all of this window advertising that you get and all of these come-ons and these teasers and these gimmicks of buy one, get one free or half off installation or some of these. Come on, don't worry about that. Those are all gimmicks just to get you to pick up the phone. Russ doesn't do that. Russ just wants to get you the best windows for the best price with the least amount of hassle. And I can tell you that's what he's done for me, and it's what he's done for everybody to whom I have recommended Chicago Window Guys. And you can check out his 5-star reviews at chicagowindowguys.com if you don't want to take my word for it, but you should. And that's why Russ has done windows in my house a couple of times, different tranches. He did the downstairs, he did the upstairs. And he makes it easy because he owns the entire thing from start to finish. He owns the factory. The factory is here in Chicago. He will come out and talk to you, do the estimate. His people, his crew does the installation. It's all self-contained. He's not some marketing company that's slapped onto a window company that pawns you off to an installation company. You don't want that headache. You want the person who owns it from start to finish. And Russ does. So when he says, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, it's done. And he'll match any price. Go ahead and get quotes. Go ahead. And then Russ will say, oh yeah, well, that's not real because that's a gimmick and they're going to charge you extra for this. And they say they're doing this. He'll explain it all to you. Call 847-302-9171. Check out his 5-star reviews at chicagowindowguys.com.
Before we get to the play, because of this bullpen conversation, I went and looked up the injured list because
you went and grabbed the shot. Yeah.
I need to figure out
this play. I need to jump out a window.
I needed to, for whatever dumb reason, I needed to remember why I feel this bad. Okay. Daniel Palencia is on the IL, as we've discussed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then Riley Martin, if you guys remember him, and I know he was a rookie and all this, but he was a top 30 prospect, and he
was
really
pitching well, dude.
He pitched well with the Cubs. You're right. Yeah. He was a guy who had emerged as someone who was reliable for Craig Counsell. So that loss has turned out to be bigger than you ever thought it would be. And then Hunter Harvey, who I've mentioned before, and then largely just because of the high fastball velocity.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't exactly proved anything yet, but the Cubs gave him $6 million to be Brad Keller's replacement, basically. And the other one is Shelby Miller, but they knew that he wasn't going to pitch at all this year. I think he had Tommy John, and they gave him the 2-year pillow contract, and he's going to be at the Cubs next year, whatever. Also, Jackson Wiggins, don't know if he was going to be a bullpen or a starter, but he's their best pitching prospect. He's finally pitching, he's on a rehab. He's made a rehab start, I believe, I want to say it was in South Bend the other day. We'll see where he's at. I don't know how the Cubs plan to utilize him, but with all these injuries piling up, you might as well just bring him up,
Right.
But those other three though, Palencia, Martin, and Harvey. I understand it's the bullpen. I understand that it's volatile and like relying on the like two of those three at least to like be a difference maker. When we talk about, just kind of take it, I don't want to call them flyers but from an internal standpoint, like you obviously need Palencia to come back, but between Harvey and Martin too, like you need one of those guys to come back too. And the last update about Martin, I believe, was back in May. Actually, we might have got I want to say it was May, but on MLB.com under his name, it just says he has resumed playing catch after feeling discomfort April 23rd. Further testing showed a flexor strain, timetable estimated to be around 8 weeks. That was updated June 10th. So, and he hasn't pitched since like late April. So I don't know that's like where that's headed, but talking about solutions and stuff, to me, like obviously Palencia needs to come back. You need one of Harvey or Martin to come back, and obviously you're going to need to add a bullpen arm or two before the trade deadline if we're going to try here. If we're not going to try here, then wrap it up. Let's cancel the season, I guess. But those are solutions. It does, and I don't even know if they'll work out because they haven't proved anything. A lot of them haven't proved anything. We have like little small sample sizes, and it's a lot of layers of frustration about how this organization operates overall. But that's it.
When it came to the play that everybody's talking about last night, and that was PCA taking second on a walk with a slide, being ruled that he came off the bag and was tagged after he had taken possession of the base, that he was allowed on a walk. Mm-hmm. Does anybody, actually, you obviously don't, Cody, but I remember talking about it on the air when it happened in 2007. Do you remember Ronnie Cedeno against the Cardinals?
Yeah.
I remember vividly the conversation that Terry and I had about that play, and even that the right call was made on Cedeno, that he did have contact with the base. He had the base regardless of whether or not he knew that it was didn't have to steal because of the walk. It's on him. He has to know how to take the base. That's his responsibility. And he came off. He was advancing technically at his own peril and was called out. My belief on this call is the reason why it's different, and I don't know the exact rule, is that the actions of the fielder impacted his ability to stay on the base. That's what I thought when there is a tag made and there's movement and there's contact at the base, he is entitled to that base. He is allowed to go in there unimpeded. And when it's the action of the fielder that affects his proximity and his possession of the base, that's where I have a problem with the call. And I don't know what the wiggle room is there in the rule.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
I didn't see it the same way that the fielder impeded his ability to keep possession of the bag.
I think it's possible.
For me, it was his slide and going in as quickly as he went in head first that allowed him, or that made it difficult for him to keep possession of the bag. Now, I mean, the rule comes in play because he is entitled to the base, but it's still a live ball and he goes at his peril, and he achieved the base before he was tagged. Mm-hmm. It would have been better for PCA to be tagged out before he reached the base, and then they could have said, "Oh no, he gets to advance. You're on the base." But because he beat it and he gets his hand in there, and because of the force with which he slides in with his speed, it makes it difficult for him to keep possession of the bag. So, all in all, yeah, was it controversial at the time? I think they got the call right. It is the correct call. He was off the bag and he was tagged when he was off, and that's just how it goes, and it sucks.
Yeah. While you are correct, Matt, I also think that there has to be some form of leeway on that type of call. Like he's playing hard. He's sliding to second because he thinks it's whether it's whether it's a foul pitch or whatever, like he's just playing hard and he gets penalized for that. You know what I mean? Like just because his hand came off the bag.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, let's say
walk.
I know, but let's say that was strike 3, and he's stealing the base on strike 3, and he earns possession of the bag. Mm-hmm. His body comes off, and he gets tagged while he's off. He's out, and you're not complaining about it at all.
Yeah, the issue to me is he made the swim move to establish the bag, which he didn't have to do. He's entitled to that bag,
but he didn't know.
But he didn't know, and the fact that the fielder the glove is down, forcing him to not use his left hand to pull back to the right hand. If he had just done it on his own and didn't pay attention, didn't know there was a walk, and just goes running down there and slides off the bag, and people are just kind of standing around, there's no call of any kind because he can just go there. But it bothers me because he made the decision to do what he did based on what the fielder was doing. And technically, I mean, you can say, well, that's a deke or something. The fielder he's allowed to, but he's in the baseline, impeding his path to the bag, forcing him to do that swim, which makes the retention of the bag more delicate. So,
but there is no rule about impeding. Now, if he's blocking the bag, that's different.
I know.
And saying impeding is a different thing, and there's no rule against it.
It just affected the whole thing. Didn't have to happen. He could have just stood there. I mean, he didn't have the slide made the reaction what it was. It's probably the right call, but there should be. I don't know. I don't know.
It's the reason that I hate it is because PCA was playing hard and not knowing if it was a walk or not, slides into the base.
Right.
And because he came off the bag after hitting the bag is why he's out.
Yep.
And that comes back to a whole thing that I don't necessarily have a huge stance on it, but how many times have we watched replays of guys sliding to base and seeing if they're out or not based off if they came off the bag? And again, I don't have a huge stance on it, but sometimes it's like, man, like they would have never got any of this before instant replay. And while I think instant replay is good for baseball based off the amount of bad calls I've seen over the course of my life, it's also like, man, like this, like he shouldn't be penalized for playing hard there on a walk. You mentioned like, what if he struck out? Yeah, that it's a live ball. But on a walk, it's
still a live ball on a walk, though. It's a live ball.
It is a live ball.
It's not a dead ball.
Is it a live ball if he after he comes off the base, or is it a live ball?
It is a live ball. The ball is in play.
The ball is in play the entire time. It's not like a catcher's interference or whatever would cause a
right. You would see their hands. You would see their hands go up, but they don't do that. It is a live ball in play. You can keep running after a walk. We used to see it. We played this travel team from like Aurora or something called the Hurricanes. They taught their players on every walk to sprint and take a hard turn.
Yeah, and run to second base.
So and sometimes run to second base because little kids aren't aware and
paying attention, or if you have a runner on third, they do that a lot. Yep. So that way, if you get distracted and start running towards second base, the guy in third just runs home easily. So it's a live ball and it sucks and it's an unfortunate play. But I think in the essence of the rule, they got the call right. What made it suck even worse was the very next half inning for the Cubs. You have Matt Shaw gets picked off first base. And so you have two guys that got, that were out on the base path. But luckily, again, it was a 9-2 game, 9-3 game that they ended up winning 9-6 because, the law firm you don't trust came in and Cody's new guy, Jaden Murray, gave it up a little bit. But it sucks. And it was unfortunate that it happened. And you're right, Cody, he is playing hard. And it sucks that he's penalized for playing hard, but I think in the nature of the rule, that's just how it goes, and it just blows. But at the end of it, it was a win, and that's all you can take away.
I think that if that game's closer and it plays out like that, we're all thinking a lot differently about this. Like, the technicality aspect of it, you are correct, but it just for it to come down because his hand came off the bag on a play that, again, he doesn't know because it's such a bang bang play that it's just, it's unfortunate. It's also stupid.
So. I kind of think, I think JD in the broadcast kind of felt the way you guys did with it, that while it might be the right call, it just doesn't feel right in the essence of the play itself. So
it seems unfair.
Express that, yeah.
It seems unfair, but it's the rule.
It's the rule.
It also hurts because PCA right now is on an all-time heater.
Another home run yesterday.
And just to give you a quick heat check of these numbers here. His slash line is 287, 366, 529. His WRC plus is 149. He is at 4.8 FWAR. He's almost a 5-win player on June
24th.
I'm looking at my watch to see what the date is on
my happy birthday.
On my
Daniel
birthday.
Bernstein.
That's a
happy
really
birthday.
stupid thing.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Thank you. I already did about as dumb a thing as possible. Yes, but so on June 24th, he is a 4.8 win player. And if I'm not mistaken, his 30th walk came last night. And that's more than he had all last year.
Yep. Yeah, his OPS plus is 152. His BABIP in June is 366.
And it's not luck. That's a high BABIP. That doesn't count the home runs.
Right.
That's because he's hitting everything hard.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's halfway to Sammy Sosa in June of 98 in terms of home runs.
Well, that's a little different. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Steroids were awesome, like we said yesterday. I know. But I think his OPS is actually higher than Sammy Sosa in June of 1998. Wow. I've seen some people like post that on social media. I don't have it pulled up, so I don't know what it actually is, but I think it is higher. But yeah, another homer last night in that second inning of they got up to a 5-run lead, and it's fun to see him do it against the team that traded him. And yeah, it's just you are right. He is on an all-time heater.
All-time heater.
To see the walk rate above 8%.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what makes it feel like maybe not this kind of a heater, but just the production. It's the thing that makes it feel like it's sustainable. And the lack of chase on pitches outside the zone, or the decrease in pitches outside the zone. And I'll keep saying that. I will keep saying it. And he really is making a case to be in the MVP conversation just because he is carrying this team. And if he carries this team the rest of the year and they're in the playoff race, like, you cannot, like, Shohei Ohtani is the greatest athlete that I will probably ever see play baseball, but he also is on a team full of all-stars and future Hall of Famers. This Cubs team, PCA is carrying them every night, every single night. He is the catalyst. He is the reason that this team has gone and just stayed above water. And at some point, I think that we could really have a serious conversation about that if this goes into July and August. So,
well, yeah, he had another great night, but he certainly wasn't the offensive star of the team. And I think we can credit not only is there the kiss of death from Dan Bernstein, but there's the kiss of life. And he goes into a long journey yesterday, looking deep into Dansby Swanson at his age and his future production. And he goes 2 for 3 with a home run, 4 runs batted in. His OPS plus number jumps 7 points after one game. He's up to 83 now. So the offensive star of the game, Dansby Swanson, thanks to the kiss of life from none other than Dan Bernstein.
He hit that homer thanks to the wind and against Colorado, and I just think he's had better at bats since then.
Yeah, he certainly has.
It's a solid week. It's better. It's better than what it was. And me and Matt were talking about it before we started the show. Like, you just need average for the guy. Just need average. He's hitting in the 9-hole. If you get
just be average, you, dude. Right. Just be you.
Yeah, just be you. Just be average. And we'll enjoy the hot streaks and all that, because he has those heaters too, like every other player does. But if you could just be average, that's a solid player to have in the 9-hole to go with that glove. So I'm from a human standpoint, I am happy that the things have turned around for him because it's tough watch. It got to a point where he was kind of becoming like a villain in this city. So
yeah, somebody brought up, I don't know if you saw the email, somebody brought up the fact that they have a baby.
Yeah, Cody and I talked
saw
about it before you jumped in today. And Dan, it's funny. I initially wanted to dismiss that, but and we'll never have a conversation. He'll never talk about it openly or publicly, but it's not that far-fetched of an idea on the impact that it has having a newborn in your home. And you have two professional athletes in that home. And I liked in the email where he was like, they seem like regular good people.
And the fact that even if they have a nanny, a night nurse, whatever they have, it's also good parents want that time with their kids.
That's the point the emailer made as well, too.
Yes, that they're probably, instead of just saying, I'll let the nanny handle it, it's your kid.
Right.
That some of that imprint time, that the skin to skin and all that stuff that we talk about of bonding with your infant. I wouldn't think like, I'll let somebody else handle that. I'm trying to hit a baseball. Because the stuff in your family is way, 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 way more important, immeasurably more important.
Yeah, so it's not an email or an idea to just automatically dismiss, because
I'm not.
If you have an infant, you know how disruptive it is to your life, and a professional athlete, regardless of the amount of money they have, is not immune to the fact that an infant can really disrupt your entire household. So I thought it was an interesting email and a nice little different angle for it. Cody, as you mentioned a couple different times, we got the doubleheader today. You got a 12:05 start, 6:05 start, split doubleheader for the Cubs. Shota Imanaga takes on Nolan McLean in the first game. Javier Assad and Sean Manaea in game two. Manaea making his third start of the season and started off as a reliever and started 2 games here, his third game in June. 4.64 ERA, 11 in the third innings pitched, 4 earned runs and a home run allowed as a starter. So, the Cubs need long outings from both starters, as you've mentioned, Cody.
Yeah. Assad, his last 3 outings has been solid, and I've mentioned this about Shota Imanaga as well. He pitched well at Coors Field, pitched well at Wrigley with the wind blowing out against I think it was the Rockies again. But that's the Rockies, and the conditions were not favorable for him, but it seems like he has found a way to right the ship. So they need him to do it again today, and he's a guy who can go out there on certain days and give you 6 or 7 innings. So I'm confident in him, and hopefully Assad's heater continues. I go back and forth with Assad. Like he is the same thing as Colin Ray. He's another version of Colin Ray, in my opinion. Relies on defense.
Yeah, just don't walk guys. That's all I ask of him is I'd much rather he give up hits than walks, because the defense has a chance of turning that hit into an out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if those two guys can get, past 5 innings, that'd be great. If they can get 6 or 7, that would be outstanding. And the less you see of, Milner, Maton, and Murray, the better we're going to be.
Yeah. One more thing before we go. Just wanted to mention Matt Shaw's last 7 games has a slash line of 320, 414, and a 600 slugging percentage.
Yeah, he's got to play more.
Yeah, 8 hits his last 25 at bats.
Yep.
I think that when we haven't talked a ton about the offense outside of PCA and Dansby, obviously, but I think him in that 6 hole, like consistently, when they sent down Moises Ballesteros, that was a sign that Matt Shaw was going to get everyday plate appearavers with Seiya Suzuki DHing. Matt Shaw has been given an opportunity to play every day, and he's having success. He hit that homer on Saturday in the game that they ended up blowing because of the bullpen. But a 3-run homer on Saturday. I know he got picked off first last night, but he's had great at bats. I think he's been a lightning rod for this offense of late. So just something that I wanted to point out, because we've obviously been giving PCA a ton of love, and that just we're either talking about PCA or we're talking about how no one else is giving anything, and Alex Bregman just continues to pop up on pitches that he shouldn't be popping up on and continues to just ruin my life. But Matt Shaw has been a plus. So, yeah, I agree, Dan. He's got to play every day.
That is Off the Ivy, and it is brought to you by Chicago Window Guys. Give Russ Armstrong a call. 847-302-9171, and check out his 5-star reviews at ChicagoWindowGuys.com.
Off the Ivy, a Chicago Cubs podcast with Dan Bernstein, Matt Abaticola, and Cody Del Mendo on 312 Sports.